During his second term, President Trump has proposed a broad array of ideas to ensure more Americans can achieve the American dream. A key component is housing affordability. Joining us today to explain his multifaceted approach to reviving the dream of home ownership is economist Diana Furchtgott-Roth. She was lead economist for the Labor Department under President George W. Bush. Welcome, Diana.
It's great to be with you.
So the administration is considering profitable portable mortgages. Could you walk us through what this portable mortgage are?
Well, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has had a restriction on mortgages that can be issued with the backing of Fannie Mae. And what's important is that Americans are offered a choice of mortgages, perhaps a 50-year mortgage, as the president has proposed, perhaps a 20-year mortgage. Right now, the standard is a 30-year mortgage, but there's no reason why different kinds of mortgages shouldn't be offered, as well as perhaps home savings accounts that encourage people to save for a down payment on a home.
So with this portable mortgage, how does this tie to a 50-year mortgage? So for example, if you buy at an age of 25 or at an age of 30, does that mean that you have to pay it off? You have to pay every year or every month until you're 80?
I think that it's important to realize that most Americans don't stay in their homes for the life of a mortgage. Most people move every 7 or 8 years. So what they need is a mortgage that's appropriate for them in their circumstances. Then when they move, they sell the house, they repay that mortgage, and then they move on to another mortgage and another home. But what's also really important is that housing affordability is tied to income growth. And the income growth from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed in July is going to raise people's incomes, and it's going to help them afford better houses. So we have more predictable low tax rates. We have businesses that can expense their expenditures on different kinds of equipment and purchases of land. And what we can do is we can see that results in more job creation. More job creation results in higher wages. Then there's regulatory changes that lower the cost of electricity. All these are going to help drive job growth. More job growth means higher wages. Higher wages means that home that might not have been affordable for you before is now affordable. And that's really important too.
So with more people being able to afford houses, so does that means demand would be driven up? What about supply? Has Trump listed any ideas on how to increase our supply?
President Trump has called for a rollback in regulations, and these rollbacks in regulations are going to help increase the supply of homes as builders and developers can respond to price signals. But it's not just on the federal level, Alice. It's also on the state and local level, because local governments control a lot of the zoning laws. And there's really absurd laws in some areas, such as not allowing an accessory apartment in your home. So you might have a big house and you might have a first level or a basement apartment, but you would not be allowed to rent that out or even move into it as a separate home, letting somebody else rent the rest of your house. And think about it, Alice. The baby boomers are aging. They might not need that whole big house that they have. They might be willing to move into part of it as an accessory apartment and either rent out the rest or even, allow some other family members to move in. That would make sense. That would allow for more flexible housing. Those regulations are controlled on the local level. They're not controlled on the national level. So President Trump can propose different kinds of mortgages, but when it comes to regulations and zoning that prevent companies building new houses, you've got to look at the local level.
Speaking about deregulation, there are critics who argue that it could be detrimental when you slash out zoning construction laws for those who live in their new homes. Is the worrying of this risk reliable, and does this make sense?
Well, first of all worries are grounded in real fears, and we have to acknowledge them and deal with them. I mean, it is one thing calling for an accessory apartment. It's another saying that a home in a residential area can be bulldozed and you can put up an apartment block or a small apartment on that area. That, of course, makes some residents worried. So yes, that would result in more housing, perhaps more affordable housing, but it isn't something that fits in with the neighborhood. This is something communities need to decide for themselves. It's very different having an accessory apartment as part of your home and being able to bulldoze that home and put up an apartment block. So this is something that's very different, and it's up to individual communities, Alice.
Thank you, Diana Furchtgott-Roth.
It's great to be with you.